Have you ever woken up next to someone so dangerously attractive that your first thought wasn't who is he, but dear God, what have I done? That was me. Hungover. Lipstick smeared like a toddler had tried to color outside the lines. And next to me, the sexiest mistake of my life, sprawled across hotel sheets like sin itself had taken a nap. Did I panic? Oh, absolutely. I bolted before dawn like a thief, clutching my heels in one hand, and my dignity, what little was left, in the other. If you believe fate has the cruelest sense of humor, hit subscribe right now. Because this story, it starts with a hangover, and ends with claws, betrayal, and a jealous mate who wanted me dead. Chapter 1. The Sexiest Mistake. My name is Tessa Rowe. I'm 24, a part-time waitress, a full-time disaster, and the kind of woman people describe as fun at parties, in the same tone they'd use for flammable near gasoline. Life hasn't exactly been kind. My mom died when I was 16, my dad checked out emotionally years before that, and the only thing keeping me grounded was sarcasm and bottom-shelf wine. College didn't stick, too many student loans, too little passion for sitting in lecture halls. So I lived paycheck to paycheck, my best friend Luna always dragging me out to bars so I wouldn't drown in Netflix reruns and self-pity. That night, the night, was supposed to be harmless. Luna's birthday, a dive bar with sticky floors and too many tequila shots. I remember laughing until my ribs hurt, dancing until my knees begged for mercy. Then, him. He wasn't the kind of man who belonged in that bar. Too sharp, too intense, dressed like he owned every inch of space he walked into. His eyes caught mine across the room, silver gray and predatory, like he'd been waiting for me to show up my entire life. I should have looked away. Instead, I smirked. We talked, we flirted. I cracked jokes about him being some undercover billionaire slumming it with us peasants, and he only smirked like I wasn't entirely wrong. By the time his hand brushed mine, I was a goner. What happened after? Let's just say tequila and lust are best friends. And by dawn, I woke up in a hotel bed, staring at him. The man whose name I didn't even catch. His chest rose and fell like a calm ocean. Lips curved in the faintest smile, and I thought, oh, hell no. I'm not about to star in some cliché one-night-stand romance. So I left. Shoes in hand, eyeliner running, heart pounding like I'd just escaped a crime scene. Because in a way I had, only I didn't realize that man wasn't just a mistake. He was the alpha of an entire pack. And I had just tied myself to him in the most reckless way possible. Chapter 2. The Cravings. 3 weeks after my one-night stand with Mr. Sexiest Mistake, I was gnawing on a half-thawed chicken nugget at 9 in the morning. 9 in the morning. Normal people eat cereal or toast. Maybe scrambled eggs if they're feeling like Gordon Ramsay. Me? I was crouched by my freezer, chewing a nugget that still had ice crystals clinging to it, and thinking it was the finest cuisine I'd ever tasted. Luna, my best friend and eternal voice of reason, walked in without knocking. She had a spare key. Long story involving me once locking myself out in a towel. She froze in the doorway, sunglasses perched on her head, coffee cup in hand, staring at me like she'd caught me sacrificing virgins in the living room. "Pregnant," she declared flatly, sipping her latte like a judge delivering a verdict. I blinked. Pregnant? Please, I can barely keep a cactus alive. You think I'm hosting a baby? Nope, this is just hormones. Or stress. Or my body finally revolting against years of Taco Bell. Luna raised a brow. Or maybe it's the fact you puked 3 times this morning, and then texted me to ask if raw bacon counts as sushi. I groaned and slammed the freezer door shut. It was a hypothetical question. She set her coffee down, perching on the arm of my couch, with that smirk she used whenever she knew she was right. You hooked up with Mr. Tall, Dark, and Broody at the bar, didn't you? And now, she gestured vaguely at my stomach, Karma's little surprise? I threw the nugget at her. She dodged, laughing. Not funny. I flopped onto the couch, covering my face with a throw pillow. Besides, he doesn't count. One-night stands are like calories after midnight. They don't exist. Her voice softened. Tess, you sure you don't want to just test? Get answers instead of biting frozen food like a raccoon? I peeked out from under the pillow. No thanks. Ignorance tastes better, especially with barbecue sauce. But deep down, her words hit. My body wasn't right. My hearing was sharper. So sharp it hurt. Upstairs, my neighbor dropped his keys and I flinched. Someone opened a soda can outside and I could practically taste the carbonation. My nails? Sharper too, like I'd filed them into claws overnight. I chalked it up to stress, or maybe insanity, maybe both. Still, 2 days later I was standing in a pharmacy aisle, sliding a pregnancy test into my basket like I was smuggling drugs. My heart raced. My palms were sweaty. Every time someone walked by, I pretended I was just shopping for toothpaste. That's when it hit me. The weight, that prickling awareness, like someone's gaze pressing between my shoulder blades. When I turned, he was there. The man from the hotel. He looked even more out of place here than he had at that dive bar. Under harsh fluorescent lights, dressed in black, broad-shouldered, sharp-eyed Rowan, though I didn't know his name yet, looked like a predator dropped into a petting zoo. And he was staring straight at the test box in my basket. My mouth, traitor as always, jumped first. Oh, fantastic. What are you, a pharmacist now? Gonna recommend which brand gives the best lines? His eyes flicked up to mine. No smirk, no humor, just steel. You shouldn't be out here alone, I barked a laugh. Alone? What, are there roving gangs of prenatal vitamins waiting to mug me? But he didn't laugh. He studied me with unsettling calm, his presence pushing at me like gravity itself. You're carrying something that belongs to me. My heart stuttered. Then I laughed again, sharp, panicked. Excuse me? Did you just call dibs on my uterus? His jaw tightened. It isn't a joke. Well, good news. I'm hilarious. I shoved the test deeper into my basket and tried to step past him, but he moved smoothly, cutting off my path. And that's when I noticed. People in the aisle unconsciously stepping aside, moving around him without realizing. Like he carried some unspoken authority, a silent warning. I hated how close he was, how much space he filled. And most of all, I hated the way I noticed the scent of him. Cedar, smoke, and something wild that hit me low in the gut. I'm not here for you, he said quietly. I'm here for the child. Something in the way he said child made my stomach twist, like it wasn't about pregnancy at all, like it meant more. And then, because the universe hates me, a sound ripped from my chest. Low, guttural, instinctive. A growl. The old lady down the aisle clutched her pearls and hustled away. I slapped my hand over my mouth, eyes wide. Did I just... His lips curved faintly. Your wolf's waking up. Chapter 3. The growl. I wasn't supposed to growl. Humans don't growl, not like that. Panicked, I dropped the basket, pregnancy test clattering to the floor. I spun on my heel and bolted, ignoring the cashier's shout. My lungs burned, but my legs didn't tire, not like they usually would. I tore out of the store, down the parking lot, keys digging into my palm. Of course, he followed, silent, unhurried. By the time I reached my car, he was leaning against it, arms folded, as if physics bent to let him beat me there. Don't, I snapped, fumbling with my keys. I will mace you. Or run you over, or both. His eyes glinted. Mace doesn't work on me. Oh, great. A man immune to pepper spray. That's not creepy at all. He stepped closer, slow enough to make my pulse race. Rowan, he said, Alpha of the Black Ridge Pack. I froze, one hand on my car door. Alpha, like Wolf Mafia boss? His mouth twitched. Something like that, I snorted. Well, congrats, Rowan. You've officially hit every red flag on my do not date bingo card. And guess what? We didn't date. We hooked up, that's all. You don't get visitation rights because you've got weird titles and creepy eyes. But my bravado cracked, because the world was different. Louder, sharper. I could hear the hum of every streetlight, smell the rust of the dumpster 30 feet away, and beneath it all, him. His scent pulled at me like a hook in my gut. I hated it. Hated how it felt like recognition. "What's happening to me?" My voice broke despite the sarcasm I tried to layer over it. "Your wolf is surfacing," he said simply. I laughed, but it came out jagged. "Oh, sure. And next you'll tell me I'm about to sprout fur and start marking fire hydrants." He didn't laugh. "You're carrying my heir." "And your wolf knows it. Your what?" "My heir," he repeated, eyes flicking down to my still flat stomach. "No human has ever carried a shifter's child. Not until you. You shouldn't even exist like this. And yet..." His gaze returned to mine, intense and unshakable. "Here you are." My throat closed. "Excuse me? Miracle? Try mistake. Tequila-fueled, hormone-tinted, life-ruining mistake." Rowan didn't flinch. "Call it what you want. To my pack, you're the first sign of hope we've had in decades. To my mate, you'll be seen as a threat." That word, mate, made my stomach drop like an elevator cable had snapped. "Oh, fantastic," I spat, forcing humor into my voice. "Not only did I drunkenly hook up with a wolf mob boss, I hooked up with a married one." Rowan's eyes darkened. "It isn't like that." "Sure, and I'm not like this." My hands trembled. "But guess what?" I growled, out loud, in public, at a pharmacy. "I'm pretty sure that means I'm not normal anymore." He stepped closer, and my knees wobbled even though I stood my ground. "You were never normal," he said softly. "And God help me." Some deep part of me believed him. Chapter 4. Terms and Conditions of Not Dying. If you've never been hurted by a man who can bend a room with his presence, add it to your list of unnecessary life experiences. Rowan didn't manhandle me. He didn't have to. He just stood there in the parking lot with that unwavering silver stare and said, "Drive with me," like gravity had signed a non-compete. I told myself I was leaving. My feet told a different story. We didn't go far, just a roadside diner with peeling vinyl booths and a neon sign buzzing like a trapped fly. He chose the back corner, where the AC rattled, and nobody could overhear unless they had supernatural ears. Which, fun fact, I might. A waitress poured coffee I didn't want. The scent turned my stomach, and then, weirdly, all I could think about was the iron-rich smell of the steak a trucker was slicing open 2 booths over. My mouth watered. Great. My cravings were now predatory. "Start talking," I said, sliding into the booth. "Because unless you're here to reimburse me for the price of a pregnancy test and emotional damages, I'm pretty sure we're done." Rowan stayed standing a second longer, dominance posturing, or maybe he just liked looking impossible. Then he sat. "You need protection." "I need a nap." I poked the fork at him. "And a refund for my common sense." His expression didn't change. "My pack will come for you. Some to guard you, some to test you, others to end what you carry." The fork stopped in midair. "Excuse me?" "Shifter pregnancies don't survive," he said, voice low enough to make my skin pebble. "When they do begin, they fail. Mothers bleed out. Children never draw breath. It's been decades since—" "Stop." My throat burned. "Just stop." He did. Those eyes stayed on me, steady, merciless, not unkind, just iron. "And your mate?" I asked, because I'm a masochist. "Does she send a fruit basket first or go straight to murder?" A muscle jumped in his jaw. Seraphine won't understand. "Understatement of the century." I laughed. It sounded brittle. "Let me guess." "She's beautiful, lethal, and thinks I crawled out from under a bar stool to ruin her life." "She was chosen when I took the mantle," he said. A careful sentence. Too careful. "Bonds form." "They don't always root." "Oh, we're doing horticulture metaphors now." I folded my arms. "Here are mine. I'm not transplanting to your garden. I've got a job, a best friend, and a lease that smells like mildew, but it's my mildew." He leaned in. The diner hum dropped away. "Tessa," he said, my name rolling off his tongue like a vow he hadn't agreed to take. "You growled in a pharmacy aisle. Your senses are shifting. How long before a stranger bumps you the wrong way and you break bone without meaning to? How long before a rival pack scents you in the open?" I stared at him, heartbeat in my throat, in my wrists, in the little place low in my belly where something small and stubborn had decided to live. Feral laughter tickled my vocal cords. I swallowed it. "Let me guess," I said. "Your solution is a gilded cage." "No." His gaze flicked to the window, to the long stretch of road that led out of town and into dark pines. "It's a fortress with teeth." He paid for the coffee neither of us drank, then walked me to my car. "Follow me," he said. Not a request. I did. Don't look at me like that. Curiosity and survival shook hands behind my back. The city washed away in gray blocks. Then the road narrowed, shouldered by thick forest. The air changed first, cooler, resin-sweet, threaded with loam and a mineral tang that made the back of my tongue ache. When the pavement gave way to gravel, 2 men materialized from the trees in black jackets, moving like they were born without sound. They didn't look at Rowan. They looked at me. One murmured, "Alpha," without turning his head. The word skated over my skin like a blade dipped in ice. We passed through a wrought iron gate too tall for aesthetics. Spikes gleamed like fangs. Beyond it, a compound of timber and stone that pretended to be rustic until you noticed the cameras tucked under eaves, the perimeter lights half hidden by climbing ivy, and the way every window had a line of sight to another. A chessboard, not a home. Rowan said, "Welcome to Blackridge." "I've seen cult documentaries that start like this," I muttered. "Do I get a white robe or a pamphlet first?" "Neither," came a smooth female voice from the porch. "You get the chance to walk away before you ruin more lives." She was a painting. Midnight hair in a crown braid, cheekbones sharp enough to cut silk, lips the color of bruised roses, and a gaze like a sniper sighting. Seraphine. I didn't need introductions to know. Her eyes slid to my stomach, still flat, and back to my face. She smiled without teeth. "You must be the mistake." "Frequently," I said. "You must be the welcome committee, 10 out of 10 on hospitality. Loved the death threat in the subtext." "No subtext," she said sweetly. "Just text." Rowan stepped between us, a quiet wall. "Seraphine." "Alpha." She tasted the word like arsenic. "You bring strays home now?" "Enough." 2 syllables. A warning that made the air pull tight. She didn't flinch. Neither did I. I'm terrible at obeying implied rules. A third presence approached. A man in his 30s with dark curls and a scar like a crescent moon at his temple. Betas carry different gravity, less primal than an alpha's, more administrative doom. He gave me a crisp nod. "Cassian Beta," he said, "will ensure you're settled." "And shielded from her?" I jerked my chin at Seraphine. "Or from your HOA rules?" "From both," he said, so dry it almost counted as humor. They led me inside. The main hall smelled like cedar, leather, and old smoke. Antlers crowned the mantel. A long table bore grooves that looked a lot like claw marks. Not decor, memory. A staircase swept up, and I swore the banister had been polished by palms that carried battle instead of lotion. Women paused in doorways to stare. Men pretended not to. Whispers lapped at us like waves. Miracle? Blasphemy? If the prophecy is real. I caught that one. Turned my head. A girl with freckles reddened and ducked away. "What prophecy?" I asked. "Later," Rowan said. "Now." His mouth flattened. "Not in hallways full of ears." Cassian cleared his throat. "Guest wing," he said to me, pivoting like a valet in a polite war. 2 guards at the door, 1 under the window, and wards on the threshold. "Wards?" I echoed. "What are you, wizards?" "Wards," he repeated. "Blood oath markers. They burn intruders." Cute. I flashed him a smile that showed teeth. "I burn back." Seraphine's laughter chimed, brittle. "You won't last a night," she said, drifting closer until her perfume, white flowers over smoke, curled into my nostrils and made my wolf ripple beneath my skin. I did not like that feeling. It felt like stepping sideways inside my own body. I met her gaze. "I was born on a bathroom floor because the hospital was overbooked during a blizzard," I said conversationally. "I last." Color flickered in her cheeks. "You think a stubborn birth story makes you a queen? I think surviving things makes you hard to unmake." Rowan's hand folded around the banister. Wood creaked. "Seraphine," he said, warning threaded with something older. "Enough." "Say the word," she murmured, eyes on him, not me. "Say I'm nothing." Say she matters more. He didn't, and that somehow was worse. The silence tasted like iron, like the moment before a blade goes in. Cassian took me down a corridor hung with old portraits. Alphas in oil paint peered down, all wolfish eyes and rigid jaws. One had a scrap of parchment framed beneath it, the ink rust-colored, slashed diagonally like claws had written it. I slowed. The parchment hummed faintly against my skin. No, not hummed. Answered, like a tuning fork struck bone deep. "What's that?" I asked. Cassian hesitated. "An old oath," he said. "We keep our dead promises where we can see them." "Read it," I said. He didn't move. "Another time." I leaned closer. Even weathered, 3 words bled through, steady as a heartbeat. Moonborn laugh. I stepped back fast. A memory struck, sharp and embarrassing. Me, drunk, laughing so hard at Luna's toast the night of the bar, that I wheezed like a hyena. And later, in that hotel room, after, how he'd murmured against my throat, "Your laugh could wake the moon." Nope. Not thinking about that. Cassian showed me a room large enough to host regret. A bed hung with gauzy white canopy. I refused to take that personally. Heavy curtains, and a balcony that looked over the tree line. The air tasted clean. For a second, against my will, I could imagine sleeping here without flinching at every creak. He explained the bolt locks, the inner latch, the panic cord. "Pull once and you'll have a team," he said. "Pull twice and you'll have a war." "Efficient," I said. "Where do I sign for the starter pack?" "Matching robes? Secret handshake?" His mouth twitched. "Try not to antagonize Seraphine." "Oh, sweetheart," I said. "I don't try." When he left, the room felt too big. I texted Luna a pin and a lie. Me. Crashing with a friend. Don't freak out. I'll call. Luna. If friend is 6-foot-something with serial killer jawline, bring a taser. Also, I googled feral cravings. Stop reading WebMD. I smiled. Then the smile fell off, because the balcony door clicked. I hadn't touched it. The hair rose on my arms. "Hello?" My voice stayed level. Proud of that. Silence. Then, the barest scrape, like a palm sliding over stone. Wolf noses darkened the edge of the glass, breath fogged a ghostly bloom. And lower, at railing height, something glinted. A loop of wire, taut and waiting. A trip line. Not outside. Inside the balcony rail, where I would catch it stepping out in the dark. I moved without thinking. The feral laugh that had been caught in my throat all day slid free, low and mean. My fingers closed around the cord and yanked. It snapped with a whip crack that made the wolves beyond startle back. "Idiots," I whispered, adrenaline fizzing like soda in my veins. "You set traps for someone you think is prey." The door flew open. Rowan, then Cassian, then 2 enforcers who bled quiet. Rowan took in the wire ends in my fist, the tremor I was refusing to let through, the wolves on the balcony below melting into shadows. He looked at me. Not the trap. Me. "Welcome to Blackridge," I said, dry as bone. "If this is the turn-down service, I'd like to speak to the manager." His eyes went silver, full moon bright. "Consider this your last night unsecured," he said, voice like a vow carved into stone. "And your first night untouchable." From the hall, a breath of laughter. Seraphine's, like glass under a boot. And soft, so soft I almost missed it. A whisper threading the air like a curse. Moon-born laugh. I stepped forward until I was toe-to-toe with Rowan. "Terms and conditions," I said. "If I stay, I don't hide. I don't cower. And if your mate tries this again, I won't wait for your permission to end it." Cassian's brows went up. The enforcers looked like they were trying not to be impressed. Rowan smiled, barely, like a storm considering mercy. "Agreed," he said. "Good," I answered, heart kicking like hooves, "because I'm done being the sexiest mistake of my own life." Comment check-in. If you were me, pregnant, half-wolf, stuck between an alpha's promise and a mate's threat, do you bunker down in the fortress, or run and make them chase? Tell me where you stand. Chapter 5. The moon-born laugh sleep? Forget it. Between adrenaline, the trap, and the way Rowan's silver eyes lingered long after he left, I stared at the canopy like it was plotting my death, which, given the company, wasn't a long shot. By dawn, I gave up, showered in a bathroom that looked like it had been stolen from a medieval castle and modernized with heated floors, because wolves apparently like warm toes. I borrowed one of the oversized robes, cinched it tight, and padded into the hall. The compound hummed. Not literally, though with my new wolf ears, maybe it was, but with energy. Shifters moved in quiet packs, eyes following me with curiosity, suspicion, awe. It was like being the new kid in school, except everyone could probably kill you with their teeth. I found the kitchen. It wasn't what I expected. No staff, no butlers, no long banquet table. Just a sprawling hearth, a wood stove, and 3 women rolling out dough like something from a pioneer reenactment. One looked up and froze. Her gaze darted to my face, then my stomach. She gasped and crossed herself. Except it wasn't a cross. It was a crescent moon traced over her heart. Another woman whispered, "Miracle." I tried to laugh it off. "No, miracle is me finding matching socks. This," I gestured vaguely at myself, "is more like a hangover that won't end." They didn't laugh. They whispered faster, one darting out the door like she had urgent news to deliver. I was still processing when Cassian appeared, crisp as ever. "Breakfast?" He didn't ask. He instructed. "I already had a raw chicken nugget at 3 a.m., I muttered, following anyway. "But sure, let's add carbs." He led me to a smaller dining room, cozier than the main hall, but still grand enough to make my thrift store furniture weep. Rowan sat at the head, dark hair damp like he'd been training before dawn. Seraphine perched to his right, flawless, sipping tea like it was poisoned, but she'd die with perfect posture. I slid into a chair, immediately regretted it. The air between them was thick enough to choke on. Rowan broke it. "The pack knows." Seraphine's cup clinked against porcelain. "Of course they do." "You marched her through the gates like a trophy." "I marched her through alive," he countered. "And now they whisper prophecy," she said, voice honeyed and sharp. Her gaze speared me. "Do you know what you are?" "Hungry?" I offered. Her lips curved. "The moon-born laugh." The words shivered through me, the same as they had in the hall with that parchment. Rowan's eyes flicked to mine, measuring. Cassian set a plate of eggs and toast in front of me, but my stomach churned. The smell of cooked food was wrong, too tame, too dead. I wanted blood. Panic jolted me. I grabbed my fork, forced a bite of toast, chewed like cardboard. Prophecy sounds fake, like horoscopes. "You will meet a tall, dark stranger who will ruin your life." Check. "Not fake," Seraphine said softly. "Old. Older than this pack. A woman who laughs at the moon will bring change, birth what should not be born, and tip the balance of wolves." "Tip it how?" I asked. "Into ruin," she whispered. Rowan's voice cut sharp. "Into survival." Their gazes locked. Sparks, invisible but deadly. I shoveled eggs into my mouth just to have an excuse not to comment. That's when I noticed it. A small leather-bound book on the sideboard, old enough that the spine looked ready to crumble. Cassian caught my glance, followed it, then quickly moved it out of sight. Too quickly. I licked my fork clean, set it down. So, story time. Either someone explains the Diary of Doom, or I start reading it aloud at dinner. Rowan's jaw flexed. Cassian cleared his throat. Seraphine's smile was sugar-laced venom. Let her. Let her read how the last moon-born laugh ended, with her body ripped apart under a blood moon. My pulse stuttered. Rowan stood abruptly, chair scraping back. Enough, he turned to me. You'll see it later. When you're ready. Newsflash, I said, rising too. I'm not waiting for your permission to be ready. Seraphine's laugh chimed like glass cracking. Oh, little miracle. That's what makes you dangerous. I left the table before I said something that got me dismembered. Back in the hall, whispers followed me again. But this time, they weren't just whispers. My wolf, yes, my wolf, listened. Ears I didn't have twitched. I could hear tones, sense, undercurrents of fear. And underneath all of it, a question I couldn't shake. If I was a miracle, why did half the pack look at me like a curse? Chapter 6. Blood and Banter. I learned 2 things my first week in Blackridge. 1. Wolves gossip more than bartenders. 2. Every sideways glance I got was a coin flip between awe and contempt. Half of them called me moonborn miracle. The other half muttered curse. A few didn't bother whispering. One young male sneered, "Parasite," when I passed. I smiled sweetly, waved, and later left a raw chicken leg tucked into his locker with a note. Compliments of your favorite miracle. He avoided me after that. But under the sarcasm, I was unraveling. The cravings got worse. Meat so rare it bled was the only thing that didn't make me nauseous. My nails kept sharpening when I got angry. And the laugh. God, the laugh. I'd hear it at night, bubbling up uninvited, sounding too deep, too wild, like it didn't belong to me anymore. Rowan kept his distance, mostly. Meetings, patrols, alpha business. But he lingered enough to keep me aware of him. On staircases, in the courtyard, outside my door at night when he thought I didn't know. And every time, that scent of cedar and smoke dragged at my gut like a leash. One evening I found him in the training yard. Shirtless, sweaty, sword in hand. Because apparently this was a thing, alpha sparring in full brooding glory. Wolves circled, watching him spar Cassian. Blades clashed, sparks flew, and my treacherous brain went yum. I cleared my throat loudly. Wow, so this is what happens when men don't discover Xbox. Rowan stilled, silver eyes cutting to me. Cassian took advantage, landing a strike that sent Rowan's blade spinning. Gasps rippled. Rowan just smirked, unfazed. Your distraction is lethal, he said, voice carrying enough to hush the yard. I shrugged. I'm basically a walking hazard sign. Cassian retrieved the blade, handed it back, murmuring something about focus. Rowan's gaze didn't leave me, and for one long, stupid second I forgot how to breathe. Then Seraphine appeared, gliding into the circle in a gown too pristine for a training yard. She slipped her arm through Rowan's, staking her claim with silent grace. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Enjoying the show? She asked me. I said, picking dirt from under my nail. I've seen better choreography on reality TV. Laughter rippled among the onlookers. Her smile thinned. That night, my balcony door clicked again. Not wire this time. A note. Folded parchment. No signature. Leave before the blood moon, or you won't leave at all. I laughed, soft, feral. My wolf liked the threat. But my human side? She remembered Seraphine's daggered gaze and the whispers in the hall. Later I caught snippets in the corridor. Seraphine's voice, low and velvet, speaking to someone I couldn't see. She won't last. The prophecy ends with her blood. The council will thank us for cutting it early. A pause. Then a male voice I couldn't place. And if Rowan interferes? He won't, she purred, not if he remembers where his loyalties lie. The sound of coins clinking sealed it. Bribes, treachery. Wolves didn't just want me gone. They were willing to sell their alpha's authority to make it happen. I should have run. But instead, I went looking for Rowan. I found him on the balcony overlooking the forest, moonlight sketching silver in his hair. He turned as I approached, eyes sharp. "You shouldn't be out here." "You say that a lot," I said, leaning on the railing. "Newsflash, I'm not great at following instructions." Silence stretched. The forest murmured. I felt his presence like heat at my side. Finally, he asked, "Why didn't you run that morning?" "In the parking lot." "You could have." "You should have," I swallowed, forcing a grin. "Guess I wanted front row seats to my own murder." "Or maybe—" I hesitated. "Maybe I knew you wouldn't let it happen." His jaw ticked. "You shouldn't trust me." "Good." "Because I don't." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "But I know this. Your mate is plotting, and someone in your pack is cashing in on it. So maybe instead of telling me to hide, you should start wondering who's stabbing you in the back." For the first time, his mask cracked. Fury lit his eyes, silver burning hot. Not at me, at the truth. The air between us snapped tight. My wolf rose, answering his, and for one terrifying, thrilling moment, I thought he'd close the distance. Kiss me, claim me, something primal. Instead, he stepped back. "Stay in your room tonight." His voice was all alpha. Command, not request. I smirked, even as my pulse thundered. "Sure, I'll stay." Right after I finished checking under the bed for assassins, I left before I could see if he smiled. Chapter 7. The First Shift. The night of the blood moon, the compound thrummed like it was alive. Wolves paced the courtyards, patrols doubled, torches flickered against timber walls. The moon rose heavy and swollen, painting everything in silver fire. I didn't sleep, couldn't. My skin buzzed, restless. My muscles twitched like they wanted out. And my laugh, the cursed laugh, kept bubbling, low and feral until I bit my knuckles to silence it. I should have stayed in my room. Instead, I followed the hum of whispers. The great hall was half dark, lit by candles guttering in brass holders. Voices carried through the stone. Seraphine's voice, sharp as glass. "Tonight," she said, "we end this farce. No prophecy will rise on my watch. Rowan is blind, but the council is not. They'll see the truth if we give them blood." My stomach turned cold. A second voice answered, deep, male, one I didn't recognize. "And the child?" "Gone with her," Seraphine said without hesitation. That was enough. My wolf surged, rattling my ribs. I stormed into the hall. "Well, that's awkward," I said loudly. "Plotting murder while the murderee's still awake?" Rude. The counselors spun. Seraphine didn't flinch, her lips curved, eyes glinting. "You should have stayed in your room, little miracle." I laughed. It came out wrong, low, guttural, vibrating through the chamber. Wolves froze, spines stiffening, ears twitching to a sound they hadn't heard in decades. Seraphine's gaze narrowed. "There it is." The omen laugh. She lunged before anyone could blink, silver blade flashing from her sleeve, aimed for my stomach, for the child. Instinct roared. My body moved faster than it should have, hand snapping out to catch her wrist. Bones crunched, she screamed. My nails, no claws, dug into her flesh, and my own scream followed, half human, half beast. My vision fractured. Colors sharpened, scents punched through me, muscles tore and reknit. My spine arched, pain blistering, laughter spilling through my teeth as fur rippled under my skin. Not full, not yet, but enough. Gasps echoed. "She's shifting, pregnant, impossible." Rowan crashed through the doors like a storm, silver eyes blazing. He took in the scene, Seraphine bleeding, me half-shifted, the council backing away in terror, and his fury detonated. "What have you done?" His voice shook the beams overhead. "She's a curse," Seraphine spat, clutching her ruined wrist. "She'll bring ruin to us all." "She'll bring survival," Rowan roared back. "And you tried to kill her." For one awful heartbeat, I thought he'd side with her. His mate. But then he moved, faster than sight, knocking the blade from her hand and slamming her to her knees. "You've betrayed your alpha," he said coldly. "Your pack." "Your oath." Her eyes glittered with venom. "I did it for you. For us. No," he said, voice low as thunder. "You did it for yourself." He turned to me then, and God's help me, even half-shifted, claws dripping, laughter feral on my lips. I saw something in his eyes that wasn't fury. It was awe. The counselors whispered like frightened children. Miracle, curse, prophecy. I bared my teeth. "Guess the prophecy's awake now." Seraphine lunged again, screaming. Rowan caught her by the throat midair, slammed her back against the stone wall. "Enough!" His voice cracked like a whip. Silence fell. The pack outside howled under the blood moon, answering something primal in me. My wolf surged, teeth aching, skin burning. Rowan's grip tightened, not on me but on the choice hanging in the air. His mate or his miracle. He let her go, stepped toward me. And in that step, the pack knew. He had chosen.
Chapter 8. The Alpha's Choice, Rowan's POV. The blood moon burned overhead, and my pack howled for order. But there was no order left. The moment she growled in the hall, no, not just growled, laughed, I knew the prophecy had split open and crawled into the present. The moon-born laugh, the omen I'd been taught to fear, and still, all I felt was awe. She stood there half-shifted, claws gleaming, eyes wild, mouth curved in a snarl that shook every wolf in the room. My wolves, who had seen battles, blood feuds, famine, flinched from her. And I wanted to kneel. But duty doesn't kneel. Duty chooses. Seraphine. My mate, at least in name. The one chosen by the council when I rose to Alpha. She'd stood by me, sharp and polished, a queen carved to fit the throne. And yet she had failed me in every way that mattered. No air. No warmth. No bond that rooted. And now, her blade at Tessa's stomach. When I wrenched the knife from her and saw the blood on Tessa's claws, the choice should have burned. It didn't. It felt inevitable. "You've betrayed your alpha," I told Seraphine, my voice the iron law that bound the pack. And for the first time, she didn't bow. She sneered. "She's a curse," she spat. "She'll bring ruin. You'll lose everything for her." Maybe I would. Maybe she was right. But as Tessa's laugh split the air again, low, feral, alive, I knew I'd lose more if I denied it, denied her. I released Seraphine. She collapsed, clutching her wrist, venom blazing in her eyes. I didn't care. My gaze locked on Tessa. Her body trembled, caught between forms. Too soon. Too dangerous. No shifter should change with a child inside them. And yet she did. Her wolf broke through, not tearing her apart, but remaking her, protecting what grew inside her. Every instinct I had screamed at me to go to her, shield her, claim her. The alpha in me demanded I stand back, stay cold, keep control. But control was ash in the wind. When I stepped toward her, the pack knew. They felt it. My mate was no longer Seraphine. She had never been. It was the woman who looked at me with defiance, even as her claws dripped, who mocked danger with laughter, who carried the impossible in her womb. The prophecy wasn't a curse. It was flesh. It was here. It was mine. And I was willing to burn everything for her.
Chapter 9. Sparks in the Ruins. Back in my room, I paced like a caged animal. My skin itched, claws still threatening to push through, and my laugh kept rumbling in my chest like a motor I couldn't switch off. The pack was outside, restless, voices raised. Some called me a curse, others whispered miracle like a prayer. All of them watched. I yanked open the balcony door, gulping night air, but it didn't help. Every nerve hummed. My wolf prowled under my skin, pressing against me, begging for release. And beneath it all, one scent threaded the storm: cedar and smoke. Rowan. He didn't knock. Alphas don't. He simply filled the doorway, tall and relentless, silver eyes catching moonlight like they were lit from within. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then I laughed, low, wild. "You're supposed to be dealing with your treacherous wife, not this." His jaw ticked. "She's not my wife." "Your mate, then." "She was never my mate," he said, voice like iron striking. "Not truly. Not in the bond." The words hit something deep in me I didn't want named. My wolf pressed harder, desperate, recognizing what my human brain refused. I turned away, gripping the balcony rail. The pack's tearing itself apart. Half of them want me gone. The other half look at me like I'm a messiah. Either way I lose. Rowan stepped closer, heat rolling off him. "You don't lose." "Tell that to the dagger Seraphine nearly planted in me." I stopped her. His voice was sharp, but softer when he added, "I always will." That cracked me, just a little, enough that when I turned he was too close, and the space between us caught fire. My wolf rose like a tide, claws digging into my palms to keep from reaching. "Stop looking at me like that," I whispered. "Like what?" His voice was low, dangerous. "Like I'm yours." He leaned in, slow, deliberate. "Because you are." The bond thrummed, real, undeniable, dragging at me like a chain and a lifeline all at once. My laugh spilled out again, feral and shaky. "You realize how insane this is, right? You're the alpha. I'm the hungover mistake who won't stop eating raw meat." His lips curved faintly. "You're more than that. You're the prophecy-given flesh I snorted, because if I didn't, I'd melt." "Great. So I'm your doomsday girlfriend. Romantic." He moved closer, so close I felt his breath on my neck. My wolf shivered, teeth aching, heat coiling low in my belly. But then, politics. Always politics. A howl split the night, sharp and urgent. Cassian's voice outside the door. "Alpha!" "The council demands judgment on Seraphine." Now the tension snapped, raw and unfinished. Rowan pulled back, eyes still burning into mine. "This isn't over," he said, every syllable a promise. He left, and the door shut, but the bond didn't fade. It pulsed, hot and hungry, reminding me that I was no longer just the sexiest mistake of my own life. I was his miracle, and maybe his ruin.
Chapter 10. Judgment and Hunger. Rowan POV. The council chamber stank of smoke and old blood, heavy stone walls, banners stitched with silver thread, and the circle of elders glaring at me as though I'd dragged the devil into their house. Seraphine stood in the center, her wrist bound, chin high, eyes glittering with venom and pride. She wore betrayal like a crown. "She threatened the miracle," Cassian declared, voice sharp. "She raised a blade against the Alpha's heir." "Because she is not a miracle," Seraphine's voice rang out. "She is a curse, an omen of ruin. You all know the prophecy. The moonborn laugh brings destruction." Murmurs rippled. Fear clung to the air. I stepped forward, voice steady as steel. "The prophecy also says she births what should not be born. And you all saw with your own eyes. She shifted, pregnant, and lived. Tell me, curse or salvation?" One elder spat on the floor. "Salvation can turn to ruin in a single night." "She carries my blood," I said, silver burning in my gaze. "And by my law, she is under my protection." Seraphine laughed, sharp and cold. "Your protection? Or your obsession? You've already chosen her, Rowan. Don't pretend this is about law. It's about lust, about a bond you were too weak to resist." Her words cut, not because they were true, but because they brushed too close. My chest burned with memory, her laugh, feral and alive, sparking through me like wildfire. The bond thrummed in my veins even now, pulling me toward her. I forced my voice low. You broke your oath. The penalty is exile. Or death, gasps shuddered through the chamber. Seraphine's eyes locked on mine. Kill me, and you kill the last thread of the life you knew. Exile me, and I will return with fire. I stared at her, heart pounding like a war drum. Then I said, Exile. The council erupted. Shouts, protests, curses. But I didn't falter. I turned my back on Seraphine as she was dragged away, her laughter echoing in the chamber like a curse made flesh.
I sat on the edge of the bed, nails digging into my thighs, trying not to scream. The bond pulsed like a second heartbeat, fierce and demanding. My wolf prowled inside me, pacing, restless. It wanted out. It wanted him. And worse, it wanted blood. I doubled over, laughter ripping from me, unbidden, low and dangerous. My skin rippled, bones aching, muscles spasming. My wolf clawed for release, but I held on by my fingernails. Raw cravings slammed into me, meat, blood, him. My body didn't know which to demand first. I staggered to the balcony, clutching the rail, dragging air into my lungs. The forest below pulsed with life, every sound too sharp, every scent a dagger in my nose. And beneath it all, Rowan, always Rowan. His scent tangled in my chest, pulling, demanding, promising. My laugh bubbled again, half mad. Get a grip, Tess. He's an alpha, not your midnight snack. But my wolf didn't care. My wolf whispered, mine. The door slammed open. Rowan filled the frame, silver eyes blazing, fury and something darker still clinging to him. He'd just condemned Seraphine. I could feel it in the bond. Our gazes locked. The air snapped, hot, electric. And for one terrible, thrilling moment, I didn't know if I was going to kiss him or bite him. Chapter 11. On the edge. Rowan didn't move. Neither did I, but the bond did. It pulled, tight and merciless, like a wire strung between us. Every breath I took was filled with him. Cedar, smoke, wild earth. My wolf clawed at my insides, pressing, pushing, demanding. You're burning, he said, voice low, raw. Gee, thanks. I clutched the balcony rail until my knuckles went white. Didn't realize I'd signed up for spontaneous combustion. He stepped closer, slow, deliberate, like he was approaching a wild animal. Maybe he was. My laugh slipped free, low, feral, and his pupils dilated, silver swallowing black. You feel it too, I whispered. His jaw tightened. The bond isn't a choice. Then why? I gasped as another wave hit me, heat spiraling low in my belly, claws threatening to break skin. Why do you look like you're holding yourself together with duct tape? His breath hitched, sharp. Because if I take one more step, I won't stop. The words crackled through me, burning, terrifying, addictive. My wolf surged, thrilled. My human brain scrambled for humor to keep me from melting into the floor. Good to know my sex appeal ranks somewhere between tequila and life-threatening prophecy. His mouth curved, barely. You have no idea. The bond thrummed harder, an ache in my chest, in my skin, everywhere. I wanted to close the distance, to taste him, to see if the fire between us was survival or destruction. Instead, I forced a laugh, sharp and shaky. This is insane. You're an alpha. I'm my mate, he cut in, voice like steel. My heart slammed. My wolf howled in triumph. My human side panicked. No, I snapped too quickly. No, I'm your hangover mistake. I'm your prophecy problem. He was there in a flash, too close, heat radiating off him, his hand braced on the balcony rail beside mine. His voice was a growl, low enough that only I could hear. You're mine. The bond roared between us, hot, hungry, inevitable. For one heartbeat, I swayed toward him, lips parting, wolf clawing to break free. And then, pounding at the door, Cassian's voice, urgent. Alpha! The council's split. Half refuse your decree. They're rallying the dissenters. The spell snapped. Rowan's breath rasped. My laugh tumbled out again, wild and broken. "Saved by the politics," I muttered, backing away before I did something we'd both regret, or crave forever. He stayed rooted, eyes still burning, voice rough. "This isn't over." The door opened. Cassian stared between us, suspicion etched in every line of his face. The bond pulsed, raw and obvious, but Rowan didn't deny it, and neither did I. Chapter 12. Teeth beneath my skin. I locked myself in the bathroom and turned on the shower full blast, hoping steam and noise would drown out the mess in my head. It didn't. The wolf was louder now. Not just a shadow under my skin, it was pacing, pressing, impatient. Every sound was sharper, every scent a knife, every thought boiled down to two things: protect the child, claim the mate, and that last part scared the hell out of me. I sat on the tile floor, robe damp from steam, nails digging crescents into my palms. My laugh bubbled again, low, ragged, almost a growl. It echoed off the bathroom walls like something monstrous had borrowed my voice. "This isn't me," I whispered. "I'm Tessa. I eat frozen nuggets. I pay rent late. My throat closed. I don't sprout claws and fantasize about biting a man who calls himself Alpha." But my wolf whispered back, relentless. "Hours, hours, hours." Images slammed into me. Rowan's hand braced beside mine on the balcony, his breath brushing my skin, his eyes burning silver like the moon lived inside him. I shivered, not entirely from fear. The bond pulsed again, hot and hungry, dragging me toward him even through walls. I swore I felt his heartbeat syncing with mine, his breath ghosting in my lungs. I curled tighter on the floor. No, I can't want this. I can't want him, but my body betrayed me. Heat coiled low in my belly, claws pressing, laughter breaking free until it echoed like a wolf calling into the night. The door rattled, Cassian's voice muffled. "Tessa? You're shaking the whole wing. Pull it back." I laughed harder, feral. "You try pulling back when your insides are auditioning for a horror film." He cursed under his breath. "Rowan needs to—" "Don't say it," I snapped, slamming my palm against the tile. Cracks spiderwebbed across the grout. My voice dropped, guttural. "Don't say his name." "It makes her worse." Silence fell on the other side, then Rowan's voice cut through, deep and steady, thrumming straight into my bones. "Tessa, open the door." My wolf surged, claws scraping my skin. "Mate," I squeezed my eyes shut. "No, if I see you I'll—" My laugh burst free, half growl, half moan. "God, I'll either kill you or kiss you." And I'm not sure which one's worse. The knob rattled again. "Open it." I pressed back against the door, trembling, caught between terror and desire, wolf and woman. And in the heavy silence, one truth settled deep as bone. I couldn't fight this forever. Chapter 13. Sealed in Fire. The door cracked. Not from my hand, not from claws. From him. Rowan shoved it open like the wood had been waiting to obey. Steam poured out, curling around him like smoke clinging to a flame. He filled the doorway. Alpha, predator, inevitability. "Don't," I rasped, back pressed to the wall, nails leaving crescent moons in tile. "If you come closer, I won't be able to stop." "Then don't stop." His voice was low, guttural, threaded with command and something hotter. The bond roared, a chain and a tether, dragging me up from the floor and toward him like gravity had chosen sides. My wolf surged, claws prickling, heat flooding every nerve. "You're insane," I whispered, laughing brokenly. "This is insane." "Maybe." He stepped into the steam, silver eyes glowing. "But it's ours." I should have run. I should have fought. Instead, I lunged. My hands fisted in his shirt, dragging him down, lips crashing to his with all the fury and hunger I'd been holding back. His growl vibrated into me, answered by my laugh, low and feral. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was war. Teeth clashing, heat devouring, every nerve lit up like fire under skin. My wolf clawed free, not fully, but enough. My nails sharpened, my laugh broke into a growl, my body bending against his like it had always known him. He broke away, breath ragged, forehead pressed to mine. "Say it," he demanded, voice raw. I laughed again, breathless, shaking. "What, you're mine?" "Yes. You're pushy, you know that?" My lips brushed his jaw, my wolf purring. "Fine. I'm yours." The bond snapped shut like a lock. Heat seared through me from chest to spine to belly, a wildfire that left nothing untouched. Our wolves howled in unison, echoing through the bond until it was all I could hear. Rowan crushed me against him, his mouth claiming mine again, less war now, more vow. My body trembled, every nerve screaming, every cell alive. It wasn't just lust, it was surrender. It was sealing. When it finally eased, I sagged against him, breath shuddering, claws retracting. My laugh slipped free one last time, softer now, tinged with wonder. Guess the hangover was worth it after all. He smiled against my hair, rare and real. More than worth it. The bond hummed, steady now, sealed in fire and blood. And outside I swore I heard the pack howl, sensing what had happened. Some in awe, some in fury. But none could deny it. The alpha's mate had been chosen. Chapter 14. Luna in the Making. The morning after the bond sealed, I expected awkward silence. Maybe regret. Definitely a hangover-grade emotional crash. Instead, I woke to Rowan sitting on the edge of the bed, already dressed, silver eyes sharp, jaw carved with tension. He didn't look at me at first. He was listening, every muscle tuned to the sound of wolves outside. "What's wrong?" I croaked, dragging the sheet higher. "The pack knows." His voice was flat. "They felt it when we sealed." "Great," I pushed up on my elbows, hair a mess, body still buzzing from the night before. "So they know their alpha made out with his miracle/curse/accidental baby mama. Do we send out announcement cards, or is that frowned upon?" His gaze cut to me then, and God's help me, it wasn't anger I saw. It was pride, hunger too, but mostly pride. "They know you're Luna now." Luna. The word felt foreign, too big for my skin, but my wolf purred. She liked it. Before I could respond, the door burst open. Cassian stormed in, face grim. The councils split further. "Half swear allegiance to you both. The others call it a betrayal of tradition. They whisper Seraphine's name like a banner Rowan rose towering. She was exiled. Any who speak her name in defiance commit treason." Cassian hesitated. "And yet they do." I slid out of bed, pulling Rowan's shirt over my head like armor. "Let me guess." "They think the prophecy ends with me dragging everyone into ruin, so they'd rather cling to Miss Stabby than deal with me." Cassian's lips twitched, despite himself. "That's one way of putting it." I padded forward, barefoot but unflinching. "Then let's give them a new narrative. If they're going to whisper about me, let's make it something worth whispering." Rowan frowned. "Tessa..." "No," I cut in, surprising even myself with the steel in my voice. "You keep telling me to hide. To let you handle it, but I'm the one with claws now, with their prophecy in my laugh. If I'm Luna, then I stand beside you, or not at all." The room went still. Rowan's gaze burned into mine, searching, testing. Then slowly he nodded. "The gathering." By midday the hall was full. Wolves crowded the benches, lining the walls, spilling into the courtyard beyond. Their voices buzzed, sharp with division, some calling me miracle, others curse. Rowan stood at the front, every inch alpha. I stood beside him, heart hammering but chin high. My wolf pressed steady under my skin, lending me strength I didn't know I had. "Black Ridge," Rowan's voice rang out, silencing the crowd. "Last night, the bond was sealed. The Luna has risen," gasps rippled, whispers crashing into each other like waves. One elder stepped forward, face pale with fury. "This is blasphemy." "A human turned wolf, a prophecy fulfilled. You doom us all," I laughed, loud, sharp, deliberate. The sound filled the chamber, vibrating through stone and bone. Wolves flinched, some bowed. "Blasphemy," I said, stepping forward. "No, this is survival. You've been losing for decades. Mothers dead, children never born. And here I stand, alive, pregnant, laughing at the moon you fear so much." Another voice snarled from the crowd. "You'll bring ruin!" I smiled, slow and dangerous. "Maybe. But I'll bring life first. Can any of you say the same?" The hall shook with argument. Roars of agreement, snarls of dissent. Rowan didn't silence them. He let me stand in it, own it, prove I wasn't just a mistake in his bed. And for the first time, I felt it. Power, not borrowed. Mine. Aftermath. When the hall finally emptied, Rowan turned to me, silver eyes unreadable. "You challenged them. You claimed your place." I smirked, though my hands still trembled. "Yeah, well, someone had to. You were doing the whole brooding alpha thing, and I figured we needed a little comedy relief." He stepped closer, his hand brushing mine. "You're more than that." Heat coiled in my belly again, bond humming steady, steady, steady. "Careful," I whispered. "You keep saying nice things, and I might start acting like a real Luna." His lips curved. Good. For one fleeting second, it felt like maybe, just maybe, I could belong here. Not as a miracle, not as a curse, but as myself. Then a howl split the air from beyond the gates. Low, haunting, furious. Seraphine. The room stilled. Rowan's expression hardened. "She's rallying them," he said. And my wolf laughed, deep and feral inside me. Because if Seraphine thought exile meant victory, she was about to learn what a miracle really looked like. Chapter 15. Steel and Smoke. The night after the gathering, the compound felt like a drum stretched too tight, ready to snap. Wolves stalked the halls in pairs, whispers clung to every corner, and Seraphine's howl still lingered like smoke in the rafters. But inside Rowan's chambers, it was quiet. I sat on the edge of his bed, legs curled under me, picking at the hem of one of his shirts. It was too big, smelling of cedar and something wild, and for once I didn't feel the need to make a joke about stealing it. "You're too calm," I said finally, glancing at him by the window. His back was rigid, shoulders broad under his black shirt, hands braced against the frame as he stared into the dark. "Your psycho ex is howling at the gates, and you look like you're thinking about taxes." His lips twitched. "I don't get the luxury of panic." "Then you're doing it wrong." I rose, patted over to him, resting a hand on the windowsill. "Because I'm terrified. Of her, of them, of me." That got him to look at me. Silver eyes softened, just slightly. "Not of me?" I swallowed, wolf stirring. "That's the problem." "Not enough," the bond hummed, thrumming steady between us. His hand lifted, hesitated, then brushed my cheek. The touch seared, gentler than it had any right to be. "You're stronger than you know," he said. "You faced the council and didn't flinch. You stood against Seraphine's blade and survived. You sealed a bond that should have broken you." I laughed softly, shaky. "And you keep looking at me like I'm salvation when I'm pretty sure I'm just chaos in lipstick." His thumb stroked my jaw. Chaos can save as easily as it destroys. The air between us caught fire again. My wolf pressed forward, purring, ready, but I didn't move closer. Not yet. "Tell me the truth," I whispered. "Do you trust me? Or just the prophecy?" He didn't hesitate. "You." Something broke in me then. Not fear, not sarcasm, just a wall I hadn't realized I'd been leaning on. I leaned forward, pressing my forehead to his chest, inhaling him like oxygen. His arms closed around me, strong, steady, grounding. We stayed like that, breathing in sync, the bond humming softer, steadier, like steel being tempered in fire. Outside, wolves barked orders. The compound braced for war. But inside, in that moment, it was just us. Alpha and Luna, steel and smoke, chaos and salvation. And for the first time since my cursed hangover morning, I believed we might actually make it. Chapter 16. Epilogue. Between Two Worlds. The forest was quieter in the mornings. No howls, no politics, just mist curling through the pines and the steady rhythm of my wolf breathing inside me, content at last. I sat on the porch of the Alpha's house, my house now, watching the sun bleed pale gold through the trees. Rowan had left early, patrols and planning pulling him into another day of Alpha duty. But for once I didn't feel like I was waiting on the sidelines. I felt here. Present. Luna. My phone buzzed on the railing beside me. The cracked screen lit up with Luna's name, my best friend, not the title. Her text was blunt, as always. "You vanished. Are you in a cult? Blink twice if kidnapped." I laughed, soft and real. My old life. My tiny apartment with mildew in the corners. My part-time shifts at the diner where the coffee tasted like motor oil. Nights of Netflix, bad wine, and pretending I was fine. All of it felt like a past life now, a skin I'd shed. And yet, I missed it sometimes. Not the misery, but the anonymity. Being just Tessa Rowe, disaster human instead of Tessa, Luna, miracle, prophecy. I typed back, "Not a cult. Complicated. Safe. Promise. Will explain when I can." 3 dots blinked, then her reply came, "If he's hot, fine. But if he's controlling, I'll stab him." I laughed again, wolf rumbling approval in my chest. "She'll try," I murmured. But when I looked down, I wasn't alone. A tiny bundle stirred against me, wrapped in soft wool. His fist curled around my finger with surprising strength, and my wolf hummed so deep it shook my ribs. Our son. The prophecy said no human could carry a wolf's heir, that no pup born of such a union would survive. The pack had lived in fear of it for decades. And yet, here he was. Small, fierce-eyed, already smelling of cedar and smoke. Proof that sometimes fate writes its own endings. Rowan found us on the porch as the sun climbed higher. He didn't say anything at first, just sat beside me, one hand on our son's head, his silver eyes burning with pride I'd never seen before. "He's the future," Rowan whispered. I kissed the dark tuft of hair and smiled. "No, he's mine." The bond pulsed between us, steady, unbreakable. The pack howled in the distance, not in mourning but in celebration. Seraphine was still out there, her vengeance waiting like a storm on the horizon. But I didn't care, because in that moment, sweaty, tired, laughing softly with my son in my arms, I wasn't a curse. I wasn't a mistake. I was a Luna, a mother, a wolf who had finally found her place. And when my laugh carried through the morning air, bright, moonborn, it wasn't an omen of ruin, it was a promise. So that's my story. I thought I woke up from the sexiest hangover of my life. Turns out I woke up to my destiny. I went from frozen chicken nuggets and bad Netflix to claws, prophecy, and carrying the Alpha's heir. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it. But what about you? If fate dropped a bond in your lap, would you fight it? Or fall straight into the fire like I did? Hit subscribe if you believe even the messiest mistakes can rewrite destiny. And share this with someone who laughs at the moon just to see if they glow back. Until next time, it's been Tessa, your sarcastic miracle, signing off.